Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Mafia. I'm joined by Baldy over here. Today we're gonna do. Today we're doing top 10 running backs. We're gonna make a top 20 list of the running backs, but today we're just starting with the top 10. The next 10 through 20 will come probably next week. But today we're starting with our top 10. So I guess we'll start with you this time. Last time I started, so I think we're gonna have the same. Probably same number one again, but let's see. So go ahead, Baldy. Who's your first?
It's Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, no way.
I mean, it's Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he's basically the whole offense. I mean, not only gets every carry, it gets every throw his way. I mean, he's basically the whole offense. New quarterback on their system. I don't think it's gonna make a difference.
What do you mean? It's gonna make a huge difference. I think it's a slight upgrade over Teddy Bridgewater, and I think the offense is going to be more efficient. We didn't really see.
If anything,
McCaffrey.
He has more chances to get in the end zone.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't see McCaffrey too much under Coach Rule and the new offensive coordinator.
Rule. Every time I think of Coach Rule, I was thinking about Ja Rule.
Yeah, murdered. We had him for like 3 or 4 games last year, and he got over 20 fantasy points in all those games. And you saw what Mike Davis did in there with the new offense. So imagine McCaffrey a full season. I mean, he's gonna have probably another breakout fantasy MVP season. And if I had the number 1 overall pick, he's my number 1 overall pick. No holds barred. So it's pretty straightforward there.
Yeah, again, I don't think it's a talent thing with McCaffrey. I think it's just opportunity. The guy just gets everything.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Are you saying McCaffrey doesn't have talent?
He's okay, but I don't think he's.
Why? Because he's white.
That's a part of it. And wow. I know you think he's good just because you're a Panthers fan.
See. No, man, you should see his highlights. Have you seen his highlights? This guy he's built. He's fast. He's like really agile. He's really good.
I think hands, it's when you get the amount of touches and throws his way, any running back
for a reason
can have those type of numbers. Yeah, I mean when you draft a guy that high, you have to give him the ball at that much.
Yeah, but he's getting the ball like crazy amount.
You saw Mike Davis, and I actually had Mike Davis.
He's good.
Yeah, I had Mike Davis last year, and he with the opportunity came, and they gave him touches. He did a lot with it. When they didn't give him any touches, people say he had bad games, but with the limited touches that Mike Davis even had, he still did good.
Oh yeah, touches is important, but I still think McCaffrey is very talented. Anyways, yeah, McCaffrey's my number 1. Just in case you guys didn't know. Now number 2. Number 2, Brian, go ahead. I mean, Baldy.
What do you got?
For number 2, I have Dalvin Cook. I don't know if you.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very similar to the Panthers where everything just runs through Cook. The funny thing is actually a little bit different compared to the Panthers. When Cook was out, was it last season or the season before?
That's the thing with Cook. He's always getting hurt, and he's always getting out.
That's the thing about him. But I remember when Madison stepped in, he did nothing.
True that.
He did nothing.
So you're saying Cook has more talent than McCaffrey?
Cook has more talent.
Is that what you're saying?
Without a doubt.
What?
100%. 100%.
Oh, my God.
You put Mike Davis in that Panthers offense, and he did a lot of the same things. He put a very similar
Mike Davis is a good player.
You put
He's
Madison
way better than Madison.
No. A lot of people were saying to kick Madison or give Madison the starting job, and because Cook wanted a new contract, they said let's just have Madison take over.
Yeah, they thought that, but once they put him in there, you saw how bad he was. Like he wasn't
so
good.
It's just proves Cook has talent.
He does have talent, but you're saying more talent than McCaffrey? That's crazy.
Panthers have a much better offensive line compared to the Vikings. Are you kidding me? It's not even close.
No, Panthers offensive line is not that great, man.
It's better than Vikings.
A little bit. Well, it's not
better
like
than Vikings. But yeah, the only thing you got to worry about Dalvin Cook is just the injury. But whatever. I'd rather have Dalvin Cook at 13 games than some of the RBs a little bit later on at 17 games of what it is now.
Yeah, plus he's like really consistent. Like he's had probably 1 or 2 bad games and the ones he was not playing. So You can't go wrong with getting Cook.
With some of these running backs who are more injury prone, or not even injury prone, if you spend, a high capital on McCaffrey, high capital on Dalvin Cook, you want to make sure you get their backup in the later rounds.
Of course.
As we play in fantasy, whenever I see one of my enemies like this fucking guy right here, and he drafts a running back, pretty early on, spends high capital, I will go out of my way to draft his backup to piss him the fuck off.
Yeah.
So
and how does that work out for you?
Guys. Always draft your enemy's backup running back.
Handcuff your enemy.
Handcuff your enemy. Don't let him go anywhere.
That's how we do it in the Mafia.
Fantasy.
That's how we do it in the Mafia.
As the saying goes, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
And
so handcuff your enemy's running back. Enough said.
There you go. Enough said. All right, number 3, my guy from last year.
Oh, I wonder who the fuck this is.
Alvin Kamara.
Guys,
baby.
I just want you to know
number 1.
The reason why he's named my guy. So, Joseph, let me give you a little breakdown of our fantasy.
Yeah, I won. That's the breakdown.
Seasons this past couple of years. So Joseph has never made the playoffs until
what are you talking about?
Year. I have proof. Don't fuck around. I'll fucking bring out the proof. So he finally made the playoffs last year. Not only he made the playoffs, he finally won his first championship.
12 teams. Don't forget to mention 12 teams.
Yeah, but not to mention it was COVID. I finally missed
it's
the playoffs. It's
harder with COVID. I had to battle through the same struggles as everyone else.
Oh, whatever. He literally got carried by Kamara. He basically hopped on Kamara's back and spanked him on his little ass. He said, "Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, okay.
I want to make the playoffs."
Let me put this question out there. If Kamara is in your draft at number 4, who's not drafting him?
He fell to logic. If you look at the RB board, like Elliott got picked before, Saquon got picked before. You didn't even have a decision to make. Like he was just the best player on the board.
This is on the record. I would have picked Kamara ahead of Barkley and Elliott any day.
Guys, let this be on the record.
He's the number 1
no.
PPR running back.
Let this be on the record. You drafted Bell first overall when he sat out the whole season. You are not good at decision making.
On the record. I literally traded Bell last season.
Not only when he drafted Bell first overall, he was bragging about it. He literally hit the draft button, and half a second later was messaging everyone, Super Bowl. Yeah, what the fuck happened?
I thought he was going to play. That's out of my control. That's like you got lucky that he didn't play.
We literally told you he's holding out, and then your next word was what with a question mark. Like it's.
You know what? That just shows I wasn't trying that year. But when I try, I win. Just like last year when I actually started trying, what happened? I win. I drafted guys like Kamara, who's
he wasn't drafting the previous
PPR
5 years. He finally tried last year.
Okay. I would put Kamara number 2, but this year I put him number 3 only because of the QB change. We're not sure who's even starting yet. They're saying Winston. Some people saying Hill. I rather have Winston. I feel like he was going to pass it more. He hasn't really dumped it to running backs in the past, but we'll see in this new offense with the Saints what he does. Kamara is going to get his touches either way. He's going to get the red zone throws or carries. He's going to get his share of the targets and everything. So it might be a little slight decrease from last year just because he had such a great year. But I'm still putting Kamara. If he's there at the number 3 pick, I'm picking him up. I might even pick him 2 over Cook. I'm just having Cook there.
You're still riding
ahead now.
Still riding.
The only concern I have is the QB change. Like that's pretty much it. And I'm afraid the offense won't be as sufficient as it was last year. But they did get Michael Thomas back now for the full year, hopefully. And that will
when Kamara scored that like ridiculous 40, 50 point game that won you, who was the quarterback?
I think it was Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill?
Yeah.
Who's a much more shittier quarterback than Winston. So, I don't think it's going to have any effect on Kamara. I think Kamara, if you actually
look at one game, though. But if you looked right when Taysom Hill was playing in the beginning, Kamara was having really bad games.
Yeah, he wasn't playing very well, but he's not. Hill's not going to be the quarterback. I actually don't even know how Hill was on the roster personally.
I think he has a crush on our Gary Payton. What's his name?
I think Gary Payton. I think Sean Payton. I think you
Sean
have
Payton.
a crush on Gary Payton.
Sean Payton has a crush on him.
Oh man, the guy gave him like $20 million or
That's what
some
I'm
shit like
saying.
that. People were just like, "What the fuck?" But yeah, I have Kamara third as well. I mean, he's averaging 81 catch, literally the past 3 seasons, 81 catches, 81 catches, 81 catches. So I mean, there's an extra game out of the season, so if anything, he's gonna put up more than 81 catches. But Saints, amazing offensive line. Uh, I wasn't a fan of Drew Brees last year. I don't think he's a guy who really trucks it deep. I think this Winston, yeah, he'll throw some picks, but I think he'll definitely put this team more closer to the red zone than Brees would. And it's
Yeah,
not
but
going to be a much slower pace. So I
with,
actually think Kamara is going to do very well this year. And you know what? I don't think you need, as far as a quarterback change goes, this offense literally has two players, Thomas and Kamara. I don't care who the quarterback is. The play call is going to be swing it to Kamara. So it's not like, oh, it's no one's open. Let me throw to Kamara. All these
yeah,
plays are designed to go to Kamara. So whoever the quarterback is, the play call is going to be throw it to Kamara. So I don't think it's going to really affect them too much.
yeah. Well, hopefully Winston will be smart enough to actually check it down instead of forcing it to his wide receivers like he did.
That's the problem. Is Winston smart enough?
Is he?
I don't know, man. Last time I saw him, it was like eating his fingers and be like, his finger looking good. Like, eat them double.
Yeah, you could just point to that video and say, maybe he's not smart enough. Anyways, let's move on to number 4. We might differ here. I don't know. I'm actually curious in your pick first, so go ahead.
I'm going with Saquon over Derrick Henry. Who do you have?
Wow. I have Zeke. Number 4.
You can't go wrong with it. Well, look, Saquon, yeah, he's coming from a injury that basically sidelined his whole season. But if you look at the Cowboys offense, there's a lot more weapons that need to be fed as well. You got CC, you got Amari.
I think that helps, Elliot, because
it helps, but it's also going to take touches away from him potentially.
True, but he's going to get.
Think about Saquon; he's going to get a lot more passing work than Zeke.
But they stack the box when Saquon's there, and their offensive line is horrible. I know they made some additions, but
yeah, well, you know what? I'm doing it on a half PPR to full PPR league. But
this is a half PPR ranking. Just so
if this is standard, I'll actually go with Derrick Henry. Actually,
tomorrow
a lot less on our list if this is standard. And tip to you folks, if you guys are playing in standard league, get the fuck out.
Yeah, don't even watch.
I don't know who the hell's playing in standard league anymore. You know who's an enemy of yours if you're in a standard league?
The screen froze. Try to turn off your camera and turn it back on. Oh, there you go. Fixed. Yeah, so if you're playing standard, you're like Baldy's camera there. It's really bad. You shouldn't even.
No, if your commissioner is playing standard, that's your enemy. That is your
handcuff.
That's the who you want to handcuff. That's the RB you want to handcuff. So everyone who's playing in that commissioner's league, he is your number one enemy. Okay? Just know that.
Anyway, we were at Barkley. So finish your Barkley take, and then I'll finish on.
Yeah, just again, Barkley. It's he's gonna get the passing work. As long as he gets the passing work, I think he's gonna be fine.
How concerned are you with his injury?
It's 2021, man. Like everyone gets injured and comes back. It's fine. Sources tell me, who's really close to the situation, we were texting, and they said he's fine.
Oh, well, that's good news. I'm not even going to ask for those references.
Good. Don't ask.
Yeah, I will
not reveal them. That's why I call them sources.
Okay, secrets. The thing with Barkley is offensive line's horrible. And if you looked at from last year, he wasn't doing much. I feel like it was a wasted pick in the top.
Yeah, but how many games did he play last year?
I don't know, like 2-3 games.
Yeah, okay. So small sample size.
That's a pretty good chunk. And if you even
2 or 3 games is a big chunk
to see like how he's going to be the rest of the season for a top 3 guy, you expect only 2
or 3 games. What is the fantasy league? Is 1 in 2 or 3 games?
If you're gonna pick a guy,
it'll maybe take a few plays.
If you're gonna pick a guy in the top 3, you expect him to have at least 13, 14 good games, right?
Look, it didn't take 2 or 3 drafts for me to notice you suck at drafting. I noticed it after the first draft. Once you drafted Bell
Exactly.
first
So
overall.
Barkley, I noticed he's going to
But this
suck
is
from the first
different.
2 games.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I don't know. I wouldn't take him top 3 or even top 4 this year. I'd get Elliott. The reason being he has a more talented offense around him, better offensive line. He's hungry. He needs to eat.
Yeah, he's hungry, which is his problem. He's always hungry and he's always eating and out of shape.
He always needs
That's
the
why
ball.
he's not high on my list.
Well, he eats the ball and he gets those yards, and he's going to have Prescott back. With Prescott, he was doing a lot better. So I'll definitely grab him number 4. If you want to win your fantasy league, listen to me. Don't listen to Baldy here because he obviously doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay, so now number 5, I have Barkley, which you already covered. Reason being, he's still a talented guy. Yeah, I don't really trust his offense and all this, but he's still Saquon Barkley. And if he does come back to true form like he was a couple of years ago, then you're really getting a steal in the 5th pick. But you are taking a slight risk there. I was actually going to put him further, but I felt like it wouldn't do him justice, so I left him here at 5.
I mean, with the 5th, I got Zeke. I mean, he can have a good offensive line if they're not injured. That's the thing. I mean, pretty much, if you want to talk about a disaster season, that was basically a disaster season. I traded for Zeke. I actually traded Joe Mixon for I think it was Joe Mixon and Connor for Zeke, David Montgomery, Gronk, and I still had the Steelers backup. So once Mixon was basically out the next week for the season. So
no, you killed him on that trade.
Yeah, and then Connor was like out, and then I had his backup. So that guy got basically
Did that help you make the playoffs? Oh, you didn't even make the playoffs last year.
You know why? Because of COVID. That's the only reason why you made the playoffs to win championship was because of COVID. Whatever. But anyways, Zeke, I think he's going to do good. The offensive line is going to come back healthy. Prescott is going to come back. That's going to help push the safeties out. And, just feed me. Feed me. That's basically all he's going to be doing, man. We have a fat friend named Andrew, and he does the same thing. Feed me. I just don't want him to come out of shape like Andrew.
No, that's the boiling point.
That's the thing. I don't want him to be out of shape like our fat friend Andrew.
No. He can't get to that point. If he stays beyond that point, we're good. But if he gets to Andrew State, we're lost. And we'll probably get him off our board.
It's funny because Andrew's going to be like, oh, you're comparing me to Zeke. It's like, yeah, just always fat and out of shape. That's the only thing we're comparing you.
You both need to be fed. That's pretty much it.
That's basically it.
All right. Let's go on to number 6. I think I know who your number 6 is, but go ahead.
I mean, there's only one guy remaining, but who you got?
I got Derrick Henry, number 6.
Yeah, I got Derrick Henry too. Again, you know what? If your enemy has this under a standard running back or a standard league, Henry will be higher. But again, it's a PPR league. So Henry will remain 6th. And Henry is a guy who needs the ball 20 to 25 times a game. And not only that, he has to be in the end zone. If he gets 100 yards, 120 yards, which is not the easiest in the NFL, I mean, what is it, 10, 12 points? But he needs to go in the end zone. He needs to fall in the end zone. He'll get a couple catches here and there, but that's not really their offense.
Yeah, that's the only concern with him is he doesn't really get the catches, but he's going to get probably one of the most carries in the NFL. He's going to get the red zone carries. He's just a beast, a pure runner. The only other difference is they did add Julio Jones, so they might be passing the ball a little more, but it also might help Henry because now they might not have the ability to stack the box against him.
If you're a defensive coordinator, would you keep the safety? You have to pick. Would you keep the safeties deep for AJ Brown, Julio Jones, or you bring him in the box to stop Derrick Henry? Pick one.
I'd keep him deep just because I don't want to give up the big play. I'll try to, hold them off. And if they get to the red zone, that's a good chance to get a turnover or something, waste time. I wouldn't let the big play happen. No way. I wouldn't want to get beat like that.
Okay.
How about you?
I'll take my chances. I'll stop Derrick Henry.
Really? I mean, he's a beast. He's a beast.
Yeah,
They try to do that. They still can't stop him.
The thing is, the tight ends, again, they're a running team. They're going to be a running team. This is a team that just wants to run the ball when you have a guy like that.
But they need a good defense to be able to keep running, and their defense hasn't really improved. Last year it sucked.
Well, you know what? Typically, when you don't have a good defense, what you want to do is you want to make the game shorter. So you want to run the ball. You want to have time off the clock. How do you beat the Chiefs? You don't try to go score to score with them.
Yeah,
you want
but
to make the game.
Yeah, I agree. But the thing is, they're not able to run it because their defense just keeps giving up points that they have to catch up by passing the ball. They don't have time to run down the clock.
Yeah, I mean we'll see, but I still think that they're a running team.
Yeah. That moves on to number 7, who I compared pretty much to Henry, and that's Nick Chubb. I don't know if you have the same. I guess you don't agree. Nick Chubb is another one of those pure running backs for more for standard leagues. He doesn't get the catches. But Browns have turned into a running team. They have a great offensive line now. If I had Hunt last year, and he was killing it as the backup. He didn't have as great as games as Chubb had, but you could tell that this team wants to run the ball. Nick Chubb was getting lots of carries when he came back, and even more before that. Getting the red zone carries. He's pretty much everything you want in a running back. He's like a Derrick Henry, he's a second tier to Derrick Henry. And if he's a running back you want to grab later in the first rounds if he's still there.
Nick Chubb just looks like he plays like in the 80s.
That's what I like about him. He's
just looking like he plays
hard-nosed.
I actually saw this this meme of like NFL players like in their childhood, and it showed like J.J. Watt playing like Pop Warner or like Pat Mahomes playing catch with his dad, and it showed like a picture of like Nick Chubb like with no shirt on with a 6-pack in second grade and just like pounding guys and shit like that. But I had Jonathan Taylor with my pick. I mean, I don't know how you don't go with Jonathan Taylor. Good O-line. QB is questionable, but I mean, I don't think it's going to be much worse than what it was last year with Rivers, who I hate. But he's a guy who they drafted high before in the second round. I mean, they want to give this guy carries, and he showed he can produce. There were some questions a little bit early on and later in the season. As you said, apparently 3 games is a huge sample size, and he sucked early in the season. As the season progressed, he put up big numbers, and I expect.
What happened when he had a bad game later in the season?
What do you mean when he had a bad game?
He had a bad game, and the next game they literally benched him. Man, he barely got any carries. They put Wilkins in. They had Hines run the ball.
Yeah, that was before he went on that awesome run.
No, that he was having. You just said he was having a good game early.
No, man, it was toward the end. He was on fire. No one was fucking with him.
I don't know. I don't really trust the system. Like, they say he's the guy. They always say he's the guy, but then they give carries to other dudes whenever they feel like it. It's, to Hines. It's like, can you really trust that with a top 10 running back? I don't know.
No,
the offensive line is good. Yeah, but I don't know if I can trust it and put him over Nick Chubb, who I know is going to get lots of carries. I know they're going to use him.
Yeah, well, I know you always pick the wrong guys. I know you're like fucking bad luck.
I'm fantasy champion. And they have a new quarterback who I think is horrible, and Carson Wentz. I don't think the offense.
Baker Mayfield's not even that good. What are you talking about, man?
They moved the ball.
Baker Mayfield is the most overrated quarterback in the league.
You rather have Wentz over Mayfield?
I don't think it's a huge difference.
But I'd rather have Mayfield, and he has better talent around him too. Who's Wentz have? Hilton, 50-year-old Hilton.
They have a great offensive line.
So does the Browns. Browns have
a good offensive line too, but I think the Colts have a much better offensive line. And you got to look at the team who's in the division. Like, Colts are facing what? Like Texans, Jaguars. Who's the Browns facing? Steelers, Ravens,
Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals too. But it's you got to look at the team's division.
Yeah, it's a pretty tight race, but we should see who I have after that. You're gonna get pretty surprised probably. But okay, so my 7th was Chubb. Your 7th was Jonathan Taylor. Number 8, I have Austin Eckler. Why? He had a new coach who was actually the coach, offensive coordinator for the Saints in Lombardi. He coached Kamara. He actually compared Eckler to Kamara. So that just tells you right there, he really wants to use Eckler as much as he could. And Eckler didn't really have his chance with Herbert last year. But now he gets a full year, full practice with Herbert. They're going to run the offense around Eckler and Allen. And he's a PPR kind of guy. He's a running kind of guy. I actually want to put him higher, but I couldn't put him over Chubb and Henry. So I have Eckler number 8, and I think he's a steal late in the first round.
Yeah, it's. I think he's a steal in the later round if some of these running backs go ahead of him, which I have Mixon ahead of him.
Mixon?
I have Mixon. It's.
I don't know, man. I can never trust Mixon. He'll have like.
I can't trust Mixon either, to be honest with you. With some of the weapons they add to the wide receivers. And Burrow was injured, so they do want to kind of keep him like not throwing as much and keep him a little bit healthy. What's the best way to do that? Hand the ball off to Mixon or do a little short pass to Mixon.
Wait, is he your number 8?
Yeah, he's my number 8.
Mixon.
I had Mixon. Mixon only has good games when you're about to bench him. If you're like, fuck this, I'm going to bench him this week, that's when he blows up. That's the only problem with him.
That's true, man. You never know when he's going to pop off. That's the thing. He's inconsistent.
Yeah. But I actually am going to have Eckler right after Mixon. Now that I'm thinking about it. Eckler, great in passing. But again, the running wise, I don't know how many times you're going to give a running back of his stature that many times running the ball.
But he was so good he was such a good pass catcher with Rivers. I don't know if Herbert, how many times he targets the running backs, but they're going to make him do it with Eckler as he's one of the best pass catching running backs I've seen. And he's
he's a weapon. I mean, when you got a weapon like that in the running back field, you just want to get him touches.
Who else do they have besides Allen? They got rid of Hunter Henry. Who's the other receiver?
Mike Williams,
who they toss it like long bombs twice a game.
Mike Williams is good for one really, really long bomb where he jumps really, really high. And
breaks his back.
Yeah, and just breaks his back. He's good for like one great catch a year. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much. I see your number 8 was Joe Mixon. Your number 9 was Eckler. My number 9, Cam Akers. My number 9. Why Cam Akers, Yusuf? You must be crazy.
Hold on one second.
You know why?
I got some. Adam Schefter's calling me with some breaking news.
Oh, Adam Schefter? Tell him what's up for me.
Hey. Yeah, can you give me some empanadas? It's practical.
I want some empanada.
I'm in the middle of a podcast. I tell them that you're some secret guy who's giving me some information. So. Yeah, give me 3 to 4 or surprise me with something that's good. I'm in the middle of a podcast, okay?
Hello.
I know Derrick Henry is under a contract extension. Okay, thank you. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, that's the fuck alone.
Can I have some empanadas too, or?
Have you tried my empanadas?
Your empanadas?
Yeah.
What do you mean your empanadas? You make empanadas?
I mean, but you had those empanadas before, right?
Yeah, it was pretty good actually.
Yeah, it's amazing. I feel like I showed you all the great foods in your life.
I've had some. Have you ever had the teriyaki fries from Bowling?
Oh yeah, I've been wanting to tell you that.
Yeah.
So I tried it, and I went on like a spree of eating that shit like 4 times in 1 week.
It's so good.
And I was like, damn, Joseph really picked one good. And then I went one time, and it was like the worst service. I was waiting like 45 minutes for it, and I was
bad service.
Again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I actually got sick of it after a while because I was eating it like 3 times a week.
Yeah, so was I.
Yeah, with 1,000 Island. Oh my god.
Yeah, you know the reason why we're eating out that many times is because our girlfriends and wives never fucking cook.
Yeah, hopefully they're watching this.
Yeah, hopefully they fucking watch this, man. It's
better cook.
Yeah, we're
look at us. Look at us, man.
Yeah, we're skinny, but at the rate that we're eating out, we're gonna end up like our fat friend Andrew.
We really don't want to do that. Like we said before, that's the boiling point. So as long as we're not that bad, we're good.
Guys, just know, look at one of your fat friends, and as long as you're not getting to that extent, you're good.
And as long as you're not a Raider fan, I mean,
Yeah.
you're
So
one of those two
tips of
things,
today.
get a new life.
That's what we learned. Number one, if you're in a standard league, the commissioner is the enemy. Remember that. Number two, look at your fat friend and always stay skinnier than him. Number three, don't be a Raiders fan. They all suck.
Or the Mafia will get you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Number 9.
Actually, you know, a lot of people say why we have our name as the Mafia.
Yeah, why don't you explain that?
So people may not know this. This is actually a true story. Yosef was in jail
Yeah.
for a day.
Oh, yeah, for a day.
So
Actually, 8 hours, but it was tough. It was really tough. There were some thugs in there. And you know, I'll give you some advice if you ever go to jail. Make friends with the biggest guy in there. And that's what I did, okay? I didn't have to do anything special to be his friend. I just asked him his name and I told him, you can have my fruit. I had an apple and I said, you can have my apple, buddy. And he was happy and he stuck up for me and he let me use the phone when I needed to. And when I did use the phone, I called somebody in that phone and this somebody is right here and he didn't answer the phone. So
no, let me break down kind of what happened. So he got arrested for selling counterfeit football jerseys, which you didn't know that was counterfeit.
Yeah.
So it was our first day of college. We were trying to do something with our fucking lives. At that point, everyone was like graduating with college, you know, at our age. And we're like, fuck it, let's go to college. Taking real estate class. So I was getting calls from jail all day. I'm like, who the fuck is this? And I was too Jewish to pick up the phone and answer because I thought there was like a fee along with it.
Yeah, thanks.
So first day of class, I'm waiting for my buddy Yosef. I'm like, where the fuck is this guy? So 20 minutes into class, I get a call from jail. And then, you know, I put 2 and 2 together. I'm like, wait a second, I'm getting calls from jail all day. It's the first day of school and Yosef's not here. I'm like, is it him?
It's the first time he put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. So I finally stay on the jail call a little bit longer just to see who this person is. And it says collect call from Yosef. And it said, will you collect this call? The Jew and me just like kind of came out and like, I'm not accepting this fucking shit. So I hung up.
Wow.
And then, so I tried to look cool next to the girl who was sitting next to me. I'm like, oh, my friend's in jail. I'll be right back. And then she's like, okay. And then so I go outside and I call my brother and I told him to Google, see if you can find if Yosef's in jail or anything. So about 10 minutes later, they got back to me and said, yeah, he's in jail. His name popped up online. And then, so basically I think my parents just went to your house to let your parents know.
Moral of the story is I'm a gangster and this is why we're in the Mafia. I don't know what gangster thing Brian has done. I think you've gotten a gun.
Well, just so you guys know, before jail, whenever we played football, Yosef always played as a tight end. You know, after jail, whenever we played football, he came out and played as a wide receiver. So his position has changed with our football team as we normally play.
Yeah, and you were always my quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I dropped that.
Handed me the ball. You really did.
Yeah. So I mean, we do have some street ties. We have done some illegal activity.
We're bad boys. We're real bad.
We're bad boys. And we're going out with some bad girls who don't fucking cook. So obviously we attract all the bad shit in our fucking lives.
We're like flies. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyways, maybe we should continue to number 9.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, that was a really good backstory. Cam Akers, like I said before, Cam Akers, his last 4 games, guess how many carries he's had the last 4 games on average?
I'm assuming in the lower 20s.
Yes, 21.5. And that was the last 4 games. You know, they were testing him, see how much he can carry the load for next year, which is coming up. They got rid of Malcolm Brown. Makes more room for Cam Akers. He's going to get some of the more red zone stuff. McVay actually said that he's going to be considered the every down back, which is amazing news. I don't know how much we could trust McVay. He's always putting out some bullshit out there, but I actually trust him on this one. I think they're going to really utilize Cam Akers like in a Todd Gurley role back in the day. And actually, they have a new quarterback, Matthew Stafford. It's going to be an exciting new offense. And Cam Akers is one of my sleepers. I know a lot of people are getting up on him now, but he's one of my guys that I'm really looking at and that I really want to grab. And I'm actually hoping I get a late first rounder so I can grab Cam Akers to draft. That's a little secret. Hopefully, Brian, you don't steal my picks. I know you like to steal my sleepers like you did with Waller a couple years ago. But besides the point,
sometimes I like a certain guy, and I just like pissing you off even more. So I'm willing to take a guy who I'm not the biggest fan of just to piss you off.
Careful. I was in jail for 8 hours, okay?
And you know what, guys? Let this be like a lesson for a lot of you guys. Even if you're not a fan of a certain guy and you're like, maybe I'll draft him. Go ahead and draft him just to piss someone else off. You know?
It really brings joy to the heart.
Yeah. Like half our league is like Raider fans. You know?
Yeah.
Didn't one of us draft like a Raider to piss him off? Was it like
not only do you piss them off, but you can use them at trade bait. These Raider fans are so stupid. You could trade any Raider and get an all-star back for them.
So basically, our fat friend Andrew, let's just call he's basically fat friend Andrew on the podcast. Hopefully we can have him call in one time, you know, fat friend Andrew. But if you draft a guy like Derek Carr, who he thinks is a future Hall of Famer, he'll probably trade you like Pat Mahomes for him.
Yeah,
you know?
It's great.
So know your elite. Know the stupid ones of your elite. Who's the idiot in our league who was like a huge like Saints fan or some shit like that, and you fucking raped him for a trade just because you know he liked like Ingram.
You know what? He actually made the championship with me, so I can't call him an idiot. I feel like he's actually better than you. But
listen, that's the funny part. During COVID, guys, I have proof. I have screenshot of both of these guys' records the past couple seasons. They have never made the playoffs. The other guy never even had a winning season. That just shows you how fucked up.
We've only played 2 seasons with him. How can you?
No, it was like a third. This is a third.
This is a guy who's butthurt, who is a fantasy fanatic, and he got beat by a guy who went to jail. He got beat by a religious guy who doesn't pay attention to fantasy that much. But you know what? I'm back on my fantasy grind.
You don't want to tell him.
And when I'm back on my fantasy grind, I cannot be stopped. And you're
fucking horrible. You're horrible.
12 teams. I made it number one. Number one.
So basically, just know your league. That's basically what the premise of this. Know your league.
The dummies are.
Know your opponent's favorite teams and use that against them. You know, that's the thing. If someone's like a Raiders fan or a Chiefs fan, whatever it is, know who this guy, you know, who they're huge fans of, and you know, usually not in most cases, but if it's kind of like an even deal, just because that player is on their favorite team, they'll most likely accept it. So know your opponent's favorite teams.
Yeah, and we're not saying to like get him in the first round or second round. You never want to pick a shitty Raider player in the first or second round, but if you can get him later on, when there's like no one left, and you think you can use him as trade bait or something, that's the chance to do it. Number 9 for you, Brian Baldy. Brian Baldy.
It's tough. I'm just looking down the list. Nick Chubb is the guy who splits the load. Aaron Jones.
You don't have Nick Chubb yet?
I don't have Nick Chubb yet.
Wow.
Again, he only runs. Like if the guy doesn't have a good running game and no touchdowns, he's not going to have a good game.
He gets touchdowns.
If he goes against like a great defense, a great D line, who let's say is number 1 against rushing, like he's not going to do shit. Like he because he's not getting any passing work. Then there's Alson Jones.
Aaron Jones.
Or Aaron Jones, yeah. I mean, Jamal Williams is not on the team anymore, but again, they drafted a running back, I believe, like second round, like 2 seasons ago. So he's just going to replace him. I think she heard us saying that she doesn't cook, so she came and be like, "What the fuck did you say about me?"
Yeah, I'm in trouble now.
I'm gonna go with Austin Eckler. You know, again, besides Allen, it's Eckler. He's gonna get a lot of passing work again. In the PPR, I will rather have a guy who gets the passing work over a guy who gets the rushing work when it comes to PPR. Those catches count as points. Those receiving yards count as points. And if you can get you a guy who does both and get goal line carries, I believe Eckler will get some goal line carries, even though he's a smaller back. He's going to put up points. Eckler, top 10.
Get someone who could do both. Moral of the story.
Yeah.
Um,
Not just football. A wife cooks and cleans because ours does neither.
that doesn't exist.
Yeah. A woman that cooks and cleans are like unicorns. They don't exist.
That's good looking? You can get a good looking one, but they won't cook.
But they're crazy.
Yeah, and they're crazy.
Yeah, they're fucking crazy.
If they get a cook and clean, their looks are probably, let's just face it. We're going to piss some people off on that. So, number 10, we already covered Jonathan Taylor. I'm not as high as in him as Brian is. I just feel like it's going to be some inconsistent. I'm not too confident in the coaching's decision to keep him as a number one running back. I feel like if he has one bad game, they're going to take him out. But yeah, they did draft him for a reason. They do have a good offensive line. Last year they had Rivers, who was passing it to the running backs. Now they have
Man, shut the fuck up. We already went over him. All right, let me just go with mine.
Now we have Shitty Wentz, who's not going to. People want to hear what the champ has to say. Okay,
yeah, go ahead.
Roll your roll.
COVID champ. Go ahead. COVID champ. COVID champ.
Know your role.
Come on, COVID champ.
Doesn't matter. And yeah, so I would not take the chance with Jonathan Taylor.
What do you think about their offensive line?
It's a good offensive line.
It doesn't matter what you think about their offensive line.
Hey, I'm The Rock. You can't steal my Rock promo.
Listen, with the 10th pick, this one, okay. If you want to put a running back in the top 10, I feel like it has some stature there. Like, wow, we're putting him in the top 10.
Well,
so it's really hard. There's some good running backs that can finish out that top 10. Akers, Carson, Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs. Just fucking kidding, Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs, get the fuck out of here.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Josh Jacobs. If you
Can
remember,
you just tell us your top freaking.
No,
10?
hold on. I want to bring this up. Another reason why I don't like Josh Jacobs. If you remember, he put out a tweet as a joke saying, "Don't play me, don't start me."
Yeah, I had him last year. That pissed me off.
Yeah, and then so many guys went out and put him out, and he actually ended up playing. And he just did that just to fuck with fantasy players.
Yeah, I don't get why these players like to do that. I mean, that's all we have in our life. Let us enjoy our fantasy. Like, why are you going to mess with
guys. We already have our girlfriends and wives who don't cook, who don't clean. We just have fantasy. Don't fuck it up.
Seriously, it's not fantasy. And you're an NFL player making millions of dollars, and you want to mess with us? It's messed up.
Yeah, man. It's bullshit. But with the 10th pick, I'm going to go with Najee Harris.
Wow.
Now look, they have a horrible.
You have some explaining to do.
They had a horrible line last year,
and they still do this.
Really revamped it. Yeah, they revamped it.
Really?
Like, I don't even think there's
Who
one
have they
starter
added?
coming back. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think it's good, but it's new. So let's see. Let's see how this shit turns out. But Steelers is not a team that it's going to have like a back just to run and have a guy to just catch the ball, a different back. Whoever their starting running back is going to be the runner and the catcher. He's playing all three downs. So that's a good thing. And typically Steelers running backs are good in fantasy. I mean, it's not only about talent, it's opportunity. And what do Steelers have? They give you opportunity. And that's actually our nickname for Najee Harris this season, Mr. Opportunity. So really? I mean, the opportunity is there. I think he's gonna do good.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing going right now for Harris is he's gonna get the opportunity. What he does with it, it's up in the air. And
he's a first-round pick. He was the first running back off the board this draft. So it's
so was Clyde Edwards.
And it has so many other needs. Yeah, fuck you. But they had so many other needs, and they said, "Hey, this guy's like the best player on our board." So, I mean, look, they're going to use him every down. And Big Ben didn't play very well toward the end of the season last year. So it's something that I imagine they kind of want to preserve his body, his throws a little bit, make him, run the ball a little bit more. Again, that offensive line is a huge question.
Question for you.
Like sexuality.
Would you take Najee Harris over Devontae Adams?
No. You see, a lot of people make this mistake when it comes to drafts, I feel like. I'm not going to go ahead and take like the 5th or 6th best running back on the board would I can get the best tight end on the board or get the number one wide
Well,
receiver?
that's another question. Would you take him over Travis Kelce?
No,
You would take Travis Kelce over Najee
I'll take
Harris.
Travis Kelce. Yeah,
I agree
I'll
with
take
that.
Kelce.
Yeah.
I don't understand it's at the end of the year, you're going to wish you had Kelce over, I'll probably say, the latter half of like 3 of the 4 running backs that we have.
Really? Okay, so that was my next question. At where do you cut off of getting a running back?
After Zeke.
After Zeke, you're looking at Adams or Kelce?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I would wait. I'd have to wait probably after Henry. If Henry's still there,
yeah. No.
I would
See,
take
I'm not big as Henry. I'm not big on Henry. If Henry's on the board, I will. And Devontae Adams is not, for example, I'll go with maybe Tyreek Hill over Henry. I will not draft a running back who is strictly just running the ball. You have to give me passing work as well.
That's the thing, though. I feel like it's guaranteed volume.
Volume,
running
but
back
how about the production?
This year, especially, they get pretty scarce after like 13 running backs, probably. You're going to have a tough time getting another one. And I feel like there's a lot of good receivers you could get later on. That's what I did last year. I got Fuller, A.J. Brown in the 5th and the 7th, and they did great for me.
You got A.J. Brown in the 5th?
Yeah, I got A.J. Brown in the 5th, Fuller in the 7th.
No, I thought you traded for A.J. Brown. No. You traded him away.
I traded A.J. Brown for Josh Jacobs, which was the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life.
Oh, I remember me and you was going back and forth for
Joe
A.J.
Mixon.
Brown.
That would have been
an
okay trade. Huh?
You want to mix it, and then he was out for the rest of the season. Fuck, man.
Yeah, man. I told you to do the trade.
There's nothing better than trading with your friends, and the player you send him is out for the season, and basically his team is completely fucked. Like, I get so much joy watching out of Yosef suffer in fantasy. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I think
you didn't get to enjoy last year, did you?
It was COVID. I don't think anyone took it serious. It was COVID.
Everybody took it serious, and I had my struggles with COVID.
It was COVID.
And what happened? I pulled out.
It was COVID.
That's something I want to advise.
Yeah, did you have any players out just due to COVID?
Yeah, I did.
You
had some teams that didn't play because of COVID, like the Titans. When AJ Brown,
but it got pushed back, so they just didn't have a bye week.
That's what happened with most of it.
Yeah, but I had Thielen out, and
cry me a freaking river. Anyways, some advice as fantasy champion, I like to give advice to my people. We're trading. I know trading is lots of fun. Everybody loves to trade. Brian just alluded to it, but sometimes
I love to trade.
And I've done this a lot. I'd have great teams, especially in the past, where I have drafted amazing teams, and I just love to trade. So I ended up making dumb trades, and it ruins my season, all because I love to trade. So don't trade unless you're starting off like 0-3, 0-4. Okay, now I'll look to make some trades. But if you're starting off good, your team's doing consistent, don't trade. Just wait unless you get an amazing offer. Just don't be so hesitant or not hesitant to trade. I mean, relax a little bit. I know you love it. You're trade hungry, but relax. Unless you really desperately need a trade, don't do it.
Yeah, you see, I'm the opposite. I just love trading. I love trading.
This is why he didn't win last year.
Yeah, but I did it before and I won. I made the playoffs every year except the COVID year.
Can you tell us who you drafted last year? What was your team?
I'll just tell you what my final roster was.
No. Tell us who you.
I don't remember who I drafted.
It was pretty bad. That's what I'm.
Look, this was my final roster: Pat Mahomes, Zeke.
Nobody cares about the final roster. We want to know who you drafted.
Ingram. Who were my wide receivers? Do you remember?
Thielen,
Amari Cooper. I mean, it had a solid team. Like, Dak went out, so did Amari's production. Zeke fucking, ate too much, like our fat friend Andrew, and shit went downhill from there.
Stop eating, guys. Just relax. Get on a diet.
Stop eating. But you know what, man? Trades are good. I love trading. I actually want to do like a poll in our drafts where once the trade goes through, you can do a poll like who won. And also, what is your thoughts now we're speaking on trades on rebuking trades.
You mean vetoing?
Yeah, vetoing.
Honestly, it depends
because we had some issues.
Yeah, we did. It depends. We thought this was a really bad trade going on between two players in our league. But
what was the trade offer? It was like Travis Kelce. I remember Kelce was a part of it.
No, it wasn't Kelce. It was Lamar Jackson and Michael Thomas for Robert. Oh no, was it Robert Woods? No, Robert Woods wasn't even added on it yet.
No.
Michael Thomas and Lamar Jackson when Michael Thomas was still injured for Henderson from the
Darrell
Rams.
Henderson.
Darrell Henderson. Who else?
That's how bad it was. You have to say the guy's full name because no one even knows what he is.
Darrell Henderson. Oh, man. You don't remember those two?
Was it like a 49ers backup or like running back or some shit?
No. Dang, I don't remember. But it involved two star players it was Cam Newton, Darrell Henderson, and I forget who else. But we ended up vetoing the trade, obviously. And he added Robert Woods, and we ended up accepting it. But the thing is, that trade ended up being good for the guy who got Henderson and Woods because Jackson ended up sucking really bad, and Michael Thomas didn't play for like the rest of the season. So I feel like we really should not judge the trades as much as we should. I think we should let them go and just trust the two guys and let them do their thing. Because I don't feel like we should have that kind of power to veto trades. We don't know how it's going to turn out. And I actually agree. Looking at it now, I actually agree with what Joey was saying back then, where we can't tell the future. If a guy wants to make a trade and it's not like way too obvious that they're just giving up on the season, I think we need to let it go.
I mean, there's people that say, look, if two men agree on a trade together, no other man should step in and say, hey, that's not allowed.
Yeah. I mean,
but I don't know, man. It's if you can clearly see someone is getting fucked, it's really difficult to not step in and be like, hey, man, that's some bullshit. Because I'm not gonna lie, me and Yosef, we did some shit like that in the past where I actually had like a really bad team and his team was doing good. I basically gave him like all my good players in the trade, and I said, if you win the money, split it with me. He said, okay. We done some shit, some shit.
Yeah, we weren't that serious back then.
Yeah, this is like 2013 or some shit like that.
But when it's a serious league with like all grown men, I mean,
we weren't grown back then.
No, we're still like we're almost grown.
Yeah, man.
We have beards now, so I guess that counts.
Yeah, But I mean, those are just tips today. We've done like a lot of fantasy drafts, a lot of fantasy leagues. We both have a championship under our belt. Some more than others.
Some with 12 teams, some with 10 teams. So,
some have like a 95% rate making the playoffs.
Anyways, we have
some have like a 5%.
Anyways, we have some exciting news. Actually, we have a special podcast interview coming up. You want to tell the people a little bit about that? Have you
not been speaking to your microphone this whole time? Because I can completely hear you 10 times better now when you just.
Really?
Yeah. Wow.
Maybe because I put this up. I didn't think this made a difference.
Listen, don't take advice from someone who doesn't even know how to use a microphone. Like, the more you listen to this, the more you realize this guy's a complete moron. Okay? Just to let you know. But anyway,
we'll take advice from someone who doesn't have any hair because he can't even take care of his own hair. So how are you gonna?
Yeah. Well, at least I didn't drive 5 hours to have sex with a girl, unlike you. Okay. So I want everyone to know that.
Yeah, you just pay for it. It's easy. Yeah.
Yeah, you paid in fucking gas and flights. So how about that?
Hey, I was in love. The things you do for love, like Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah, okay, buddy. All right. But anyways, as this fucking bitch was saying, on our next episode, I did an interview with an actual NFL player, Kafani Muhammad. So he was drafted in the 7th round. So basically, I was asking him questions, what it's like getting drafted, what it was like getting cut for the first time, what is it like learning a playbook, So basically, anything fans want to know what it's like just being in the NFL. And keep in mind, this guy is, he's not like a huge star in the NFL. So this is a guy who's like, grinding in the NFL. Does he have like a day job? Does he have, a job on the side or something like that? I mean, this guy answers like a lot of questions. I think it gives a really good in-depth description of what being in the NFL is like, because not everyone's getting paid $20-30 million. Some guys are getting paid much less minimum, fighting to stay on the roster spot. If it doesn't work out, they got to figure something out. So I think this gives everyone a really good idea of what it's like. It's not always, glamorous, I guess you can say.
It's not always a fantasy.
Yeah. I mean, come on, man. This is what, like our second or third episode, and we're already getting football players on it. We're fucking legit.
Yeah, when we said we have resources, we have resources.
Yeah.
We're not lying.
That was not my girlfriend getting me empanadas. That was Adam Schefter getting me empanadas. Okay? Yeah. He's my bitch.
Yeah. He works for us.
I give him the news, and he breaks it to ESPN.
That's what happens when you're in the Mafia. We control everything else. So join the Mafia. And if you stayed this long watching us, I'm surprised. But if you did, subscribe. Comment.
I feel sorry for anyone who stayed this fucking long.
Thank you for watching. You're really loyal. Have a good one.
And really fucking lonely.